Hi everybody, Malice here again with another Imperial Knights Codex review video. This time we're going into the detachments, and first up on the docket is the Valourstrike Lance detachment. So as usual, I'll go through the detachment rule, then the enhancements available in that detachment, before finally finishing off with the stratagems and an overall what I think of it. So let's get cracking with the Valourstrike Lance detachment rule. All gallantry. Each time an Imperial Knights unit from your army advances, you can re-roll the advance roll, and each time an Imperial Knights unit from your army advances until the end of turn, ranged weapons equipped by Imperial Knights models from your army have the assault ability. So, pretty solid. You get you're able to re-roll your advance, and you get assault with you. Assault on your shooting weapons when you advance. Nothing wrong with that. That's a pretty damn solid detachment rule, if we're being honest. I like it. Now moving into the enhancements, starting off with Bearer of the Iron Chalice. Imperial Knights model only. At the end of your movement phase, select one other Imperial Knights model from your army that is within 12 inches of and visible to the bearer. That selected model regains up to D3 lost wounds, or up to 3 lost wounds if your army is honoured. Now, for what it means by honoured, we'll refer to the previous video I've done where I've gone over the army rule, because your army becoming honoured kind of ties into the army rule as a whole. But for this enhancement as a whole, wound regen is always nice. D3 is good if you can get your knight's army honoured and get the straight full fat 3, even better. Overall, a very solid and nice enhancement. Next up on the docket, the Bearer of the Evanescent Ion. Imperial Knights model only. At the end of your movement phase, select one other Imperial Knights model from your army that is within 12 inches of and visible to the bearer. Until the start of your next movement phase, that selected model has the Self ability. Hello, potential delivery system for your close combat knights. Or your closer range knights. Specifically thinking the errant class with this one, and the melee one that the name escapes me just at the moment. They're going to be the biggest beneficiaries of this. Maybe even the closer range Dominus class knight as well. But most can benefit from it. I mean, given as big a target as an Imperial Knight stealth, again, is always a very nice thing. So we're 2 for 2 for pretty damn good enhancements for this detachment. Next up, the Bearer of the Judican's Helm. Imperial Knights model only. At the start of your shooting phase, select one other Imperial Knights model from your army that is within 12 inches of and visible to the bearer. Until the end of the phase, ranged weapons equipped by the selected model have the Ignores Cover ability. The Warden, the Crusader, the New Defender, and the Castellan, to name but 4 examples, say hi. This is a really good one, especially if you play on densely terrain-packed boards. You want to clear out a horde unit, stick it on a Warden and let that Avenger Gatling cannon go to work. You want to flush some more heavily armoured stuff out, stick it on a Crusader, stick it on a Castellan, stick it on the Defender. Again, another very, very solid enhancement for this detachment. So far, you can make a case for any of the 3 we've gone over. They're all, in their own separate ways, really, really good enhancements. And rounding off the quartet of enhancements, we have the Bearer of the Lancer's Sigil. Imperial Knights model only. At the start of your charge phase, select one other Imperial Knights model from your army that is within 12 inches of and visible to the bearer. Until the end of the phase, you can re-roll charge rolls made by that selected model. your close combat knights will love this one. So it's pretty much the other end of the Jurgen Helm spectrum, whereas the Jurgen Helm helps shoot your knights out more, the Lancer Sigil helps out the close combat knights a lot more. But one thing you cannot argue with a Valourstrike lance is there's a case that can be argued for each of these 4 enhancements. Now, if I had to pick a personal favourite, it's a tough call between the Bearer of the Iron Chalice and the Bearer of the Evanescent Ion, but I think the Iron Chalice would just edge it, because you don't have many knights on the table in whatever size game you play. Anything that can keep them alive that little bit longer is always going to be at top of my priority list. But like I said, you can argue a case for all 4 of these enhancements depending on how you build your army, because all 4 of them, in their own way are really, really good. And finally, let's move into the stratagems part of this. Now, as usual, these are 1 command point unless I specify otherwise. So we'll start off with Run Them Through. Use it on the fight phase on up to 3 Imperial Knights from your army that charge this turn that have not been selected to fight this phase and that are each within 9 inches horizontally of the same point of the battlefield. Until the end of the phase, melee weapons equipped by your models have the lance ability. Nice stratagem for close combat knights or your or the melter and chain glaive armigers. Basically anything with a choppy element or wants to be up close. This is a pretty good stratagem. Thunderstomp, a classic one of the Imperial Knights world. Use it in the fight phase on 1 Imperial Knights model that has not been selected to fight this phase. Until the end of the phase, the attacks characteristic of any armoured feat melee attacks equipped by your model is 8. The attacks characteristic of any titanic melee weapons equipped by your model is 12. Improved armour penetration characteristic of those weapons by 1. If you want to see something the size of a small block of flats or even bigger tap dance, this is the stratagem for you. You will have dancing knights in close combat. There's an image for you.
Next up, the classic
At the end of the phase, add 2 inches to the move characteristic of your models and add 2 to advanced walls made for those models. A stratagem that dovetails beautifully in with this detachment's detachment rule. I should mention that full tilt is 2 command points, by the way. But yeah, get your knights that need to be in close to mid-range there that little bit faster. And like I said, it's got nice synergy with the detachment rule, because whatever you get for getting advanced wall, you can add 2 onto it, and if you don't like the wall you get, you can re-roll it. And your ranged weapons get assault into the mix as well, so nice bit of synergy there. And like I said, full tilt is a classic of the Imperial Knights saber. Next up, Vow of Retribution. Use it in your shooting phase on up to 3 Imperial Knight models from your army that have not been selected to shoot this phase and are each within 9 inches horizontally at the same point of the battlefield. Until the end of phase, range weapons equipped by all models have the lethal hits ability. Yes, yes, and a side order of yes. You use this on a crusader and 2 wardens, especially if you give, and they are making absolute kebab meat of any lightly armoured units that get in their way. You give that crusader a battle cat. Alternatively, give that crusader the rapid fire battle cannon and pair it with a pair of paladins, and you're just blasting stuff for days from across the board. A lot of utility there. Lethal hits is a lovely, lovely rule. We like this stratagem a lot. This is that one, and Full Tilt are probably my 2 favourite stratagems so far from this detachment. Next up, we have Tactical Foil. Use it in your opponent's movement phase. I beg your pardon. Just after an enemy unit ends a normal, advance, or fallback move. And you use it on an Imperial Knight model from your army that is within 9 inches of their unit. Your model can make a normal move of up to d6 inches. So, basically you can kind of use this to cut an opposition unit off at the pass, or their moves. You can potentially move to get into a good firing lane of them, or to get a bit more out of their line of sight. It's a nice stratagem with a lot of utility. You can play a lot of mind games with your opponent with it, and like I said, there's a lot of utility. You can use it offensively, you can use it defensively. It's a nice stratagem. Very good utility with it. And finally, another classic from the Imperial Knights, Rotate Ion Shields. Use it in your opponent's shooting phase just after an enemy unit has selected its attacks. Target: one Imperial Knights unit from your army that was selected as the target of one or more of the attacking unit's attacks. Until the end of the phase, models in your unit have a 4 invulnerable save. Now, with how Ion Shields work with Knights anyway, you have a 5 invulnerable save against shooting. Base, you can bump it up to a 4, so if you're getting hit with chunkier weaponry or more dedicated heavy vehicle killing weaponry, you can go from a 33% chance of not taking damage to a 50% chance. I call that a good investment of 1 command point. And that wraps everything up with the Valourstrike lance in hand. So, what do I think of it? I think it's a very good detachment. Lots of really good enhancements. Like I say, you can make a case for all 4 of them, depending on what army composition you want to go with your knights. The stratagems, again, are all solid, beneficial for, again, whichever way you want to go with your knights, how you want to play things. You've got utility, you've got buffs, you've got a bit of defensiveness thrown in there. You can't complain. I think this is definitely a really, really good detachment and a very strong start for the rest of them, which we'll be covering in future videos. So, what do you guys think of the Valourstrike Lance detachment? As always, let me know in the comments, and until the next video, I shall catch you guys later.